So I'm just sitting in my room and I thought I'd make a video on this that I still feel very sick even though I went to go eat a burger. I do not feel safe with my mother at all. Her twins. She feels, when I talk to her, it feels so contaminated. It's frightening for me to think that what they've done and what they've done to this person, and how they've used psychology to completely wipe out to get away with what they want for the gay and transgender community. But right now, my intestines, as I'm sick, I'm literally having to get up every 10 minutes and just like disperse fluids out of my rectum, diarrhea. And it seems like my urinary tract system right now, whatever makes organ produces you to make urine and come out the correct hole, which is the penile, isn't working. And I've been drinking a lot of fluid. And this is like a mixed drink of carbonation, flavored water, mineral drink. It's like a vitamin drink. And I'm just having diarrhea. It's just like my I'm not even pissing anything out. It's just coming out at just diarrhea. It's just flushing out of my body. And I don't know what food contamination they did to me, whatever food, but they had my mother put some sort of contamination in the food. I don't know what it was. They gave her the food and they gave it to me because they're doing psychology on me, brainwashing me, and trying to justify and wash away what they did, because the person that raped me was Patricia Gadina, was my mom's sister's friend. So to ingest that even more, we were in the car, and my aunt, who knew Patricia Gadina, who raped me, was talking on the Bluetooth in the car to my mother. So these are very dark psychology to do. Once we get to Brahms, they were just circling like hyenas. And they got my mother's twin sister totally bitched down like a fucking dog. They know exactly. It bothers me so much because they know exactly, okay? They know exactly where they have my mother, sister, because she goes back to my mother, and it ingests because they're triplets. I feel like I have very little choice when I'm around this person that's not my mother. And the longer that I have been trying to associate, the worse it has only gotten. My mother's twins, sisters, triplets, are not mentally compatible to understand the magnitude and the horror that's going on and what's happened. What my brother did and what happened to my brother is now being the profitable gain of everyone else but me. And they're shuffling me around and diseased me so they can sit nice and comfortable where they are, and then they did Michael Jackson work. They just did president work. And it's so frightening when you're facing death like me. It's so frightening when somebody, this is like a Holocaust story of what my mother went through. I mean, you're talking the horrors of the worst, of giving up your body and being ripped apart by disgusting individuals, raping and whatnot. And this is all about everything, how to justify it and bring. I'm telling you, they know that their mental capacity is that of a child almost. They do not mentally understand. So every single detail, they tell her sisters exactly what to do. You can tell by when I look at them, it is not my mother, and they can look at me in a way that's like I don't care for your life. You're not my son. You can tell that. You can't tell that with my biological mother. You can tell that with them because they didn't give actual birth to me. It's so disturbing because Frankie, I'm telling you, what my mother had to do and what she made by choice had to have affected Frankie in magnitudes only in ways that I could have said and understood. Even if Frankie's perfectly fine and just, in his own world, and they're getting my mother's twins to wash away this and just make it more comfortable because this and this and this, it does not matter. They were never a part of Frankie's life. And they were not there for the horrors that had happened. You may bring your own story, but you were not there. And these homosexuals are putting so much psychological shit. Like, we're sitting at Brahms, and they're just full blown for Kenneth of homosexuality and trans. I mean, it's just every word, every eye direction, every contact is just about Kenneth, transgenders, Sarah, for the niggas, for the blacks, or for the whites. Oh, it's just for the gays. I mean, it's just a constant, and it's so fucked up because even when you surrender all that, and you're supposed to just kind of keep your own identity, it doesn't matter because they only target the dead little girl. Oh, this little tragedy and how they took the twin away. And some of their family has my mother's identical twin. Oh, they're just fine over it. That's not the truth. That's not what happened. That's not... And for the President of the United States is beating the shit out of me and my mother's sisters not to understand, especially for my mother's sisters and my mother not to mentally understand the capacity about what decisions are being made. It's just free game. They steal and rip apart anything they fucking want. Just like in the wilderness of life where you see like hyenas rip a fetus of an impala, and there's groups of hyenas and jackals biting into the fetus and ripping it out as it's giving birth, and then ripping the animal apart and eating it, and then killing the mother, exactly like that. It is horrific that they're justifying this, and you can tell that there's no common sense, there's no one to help. You have to have straight women directly involved in this, and only straight women or straight men, and that is it, period. It is unbelievable that I gotta die this way about what these motherfuckers did and what this president did. Personally, you're associating with the devil. What these motherfuckers and what these people, they steal and take anything and they kill anyone they want. And they will justify it and say every reasonable thing and this and that and give their answers. I mean, this is a full-blown race war. I go to Walmart and you have some black guy be thinking that he's Barack Obama, and then Barack Obama's transgender daughter, and they start, oh, I'm President Barack Obama. Oh, again, I kill and suicide, and they're just, the mentality is murder suicide. It's consistently of that. How much are you willing to sacrifice yourself and kill yourself to kill somebody else? Just like whenever they ran those planes into the tower. Yeah, you're going to be a black nigga. You can show how hard you are because you're black power. No, this is for the gay. You're going to share how gays really work because this is Barack Obama. That's the behavior and energy that they're fucking throwing out directly at me. I get scared when they do this shit. I don't want to be a part of any of this type of terrorizing shit. It's not something, and I have no fucking choice. It's very fucking scary. I'm 42 years old, and, I was nearly digging in trash cans for food for so many years, and no money, and nobody cared. Ditching me, claiming they were helping me, and they didn't do anything. It's like, every time I talk to my mother's twin sister triplets, they do not understand. I know, I'm looking at them, the magnitude of their education. I'm not taking away what bad happened that I don't know about them. But I know that they had their own family before I met my mother. Wherever they came from, someone raised them. They survived somewhere. Whatever their life was, wherever they went, whoever their father was, whoever their mother was, all these situations. these identical triplets would have known who the biological mother maybe could have been. My real biological mother. Because my grandma, who I thought was my grandma, she was not really my grandma. She's not by she was a transgender. I think, you know, so I didn't know that. And so my mother always doubted my grandma, like, oh, she has mental problems and all this other shit. You don't understand how my mother had explained to me the counsel about everything that was going on in the family. And they once again, the main thing was to throw me out of the picture because they wanted to get away with what they did, and their money was going to pay for it. And they were going to just keep doing, and they were going to beat the shit out of me to get me to say anything they fucking want instead of saying the truth of what had happened. And then they're just going to beat me saying it was the fucking truth, and it wasn't. But it is fucking terrorizing, you know? It's like, you know, they don't understand, and every time I'm around them, it's just like, their mental capacity is I'm not saying that they're stupid. They weren't there. And I don't care if Frankie was fine, how that affected me and how that affected Frankie and how that affected my father and how that affected the internal situation, and it goes on somebody else's dinner table. And I did nothing wrong. And, you know, it's like, morally, this is so wrong. I mean, they have decayed my body and they don't give a shit. You know, it is very hard because they know they can just toy with my mother's brain and get her to say anything. And they think that I'm saying this because I want to take control of her brain. And I'm just saying this to get away with the next thing. I'm just saying this because it's just, you know, my mother's fucking old as shit now. And for the last several years that I have been coming to this apartment and talking to, it's the constant garbage shit. I feel like I can't even order the correct soda. I can't order the fucking, because I'm terrorized that this person is now becoming so threatening and controlling that this is the same behavior that recycles to remember what Frankie went through. Like throwing him in a fucking garbage can, and how Frankie would come, my mother would say things to Frankie. You know, they think they understood this and this and this, and they weren't there. You know, and they keep punishing me with these electronic devices. Every single day I'm beating the shit out of. I feel like I'm developing cancer in my lungs. I feel like, you know, I'm having more health problems and all kinds of other shit. And, you know, this is all about Ken Cooper, you know, and this how his character and Kenneth and make him in heroes and all this other crazy shit. I mean, it is so crazy because every fucking person is just like, and it's just like every fucking person. It's hard when you don't have any support system in your family. I feel like I got to be babysitting because there's so many people that are so much more intelligent than my mother. They're just slapping her around with the existence of a life that's all you're ever worth. And then tell her that the life that you did was so much more better than others, and that's not the truth. They just want to scum the shit out of you because they know they can get away with it. And that's what they did. And they did this to my mother, not yours. You know, they know they have to turn Frankie against me if he's healthy. I know it's like they're saying, oh, Hector's just wishing if he was unhealthy and he's bad so he can take advantage. All this and that, because that's what Lindsay Wessinger was wanting, right? Yeah, exactly, huh? And, you know, it's very upsetting. You know, it's like, my mother, you don't understand how awful this double-edged sword is that goes against my mother. You know, because there's so much detail and horror that when you think you made Frankie into a bodybuilder and intimidation, he's all healthy and he just dealt with it. What that did to my mother is they just they're making up excuses and always make anything up what they want. And that's very hard because they know they're getting away with it. You know? Somebody else's fucking money. God damn it, to be, you know, you spent 5, 6, 7 years near a homeless man with no fucking money and just nearly fucking digging in trash cans. You have no idea when people are just spitting, throwing food, and trying to fight you, and you have nothing to go to. You just have a backpack, and you're in 14-degree freezing temperatures in Alaska. You're sleeping in the back of a fucking recreation center, and it's fucking 7 degrees outside, and you have to do push-ups. You're fucking 31 years old, and you don't know where you're gonna get your next paycheck, and you're just waiting and hoping that your unemployment goes through, so you can get your measly $65, so that you can maybe get something to eat as a treat, and that's your existence of life. You don't get to work out. You don't get to go to a gym. You don't get to go really much of anything. You get to go to a library and maybe go to Starbucks once a week to just relax and hopefully not get, attacked by people. But when you do arrive there, people are glad you're suffering because you are a scum. And they see how homeless and worthless your life is. Because this is transgender gay movement. No, we're the ones that show love and everything else. And that's bullshit. It's hard. My mother's mental, they know they got my mother's just plain out dumbass like a cakewalk. They can just do anything they fucking want and steal, just manipulate. They're not the mentally capacity to understand. They're not. They're not. And they know they can manipulate this in a psychological sense. That's why they have Lindsay Wessingers, the fucking twin, doing the same shit. That's why they had several other people do this shit. Yeah, just 2 days ago, I still feel sick, fucking throwing up for 4 or 5 hours and shitting. And even right now, I keep shitting, and my stomach hurts. My side hurts. Like I'm building liver, stiffness even more, or lung cancer, and I can. It's very hard. I pray to hope. It's hard to surrender and to say, just take whatever you want. I don't care. If I don't just give them all the money they want, then there's no life I get to have at all for myself. At all. Because they're just going to steal, and even if you know that God's not going to give you anything, and there is no afterlife as an atheist, and I'm not saying that I am. I'm not an atheist, but it doesn't make a difference. They steal in this life, and if there is into the next life, they will steal it there as well. And it is horrifically frightening, especially in the U.S., especially at the magnitude of these circumstances that's going on. I should be able to go to a gym. I should, my body just, not wasting away in what they've already taken from it. Making me shit again.